What's up, YouTube? It's your boy, Uncle Fred, back in the house. One more game, more content for you. And I'm always committed to give you the latest in NFL news and content. Some big stories today, man. Big stories today. Um, First thing, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Go ahead and get into this thing. There's two things really is on the agenda for today. First being the Tom Brady announcement, which is official now. And I went on Saturday and I talked about it, because it was, it was live. It was Jeff Darlington. It was Adam Scheffler. They were very respected reporters, and they said that this is a thing. But then Tom Brady's agent, Don V. Yee, said no, and his dad is like, no, y'all jumping the gun. But what it really was is it got leaked. And and Tom Brady deserved to go out on his own terms, to plan his own thing, and let it be, make his announcement, do his thing, make his speech, do that. He deserved that rather than have it leaked out like that. Shame on you trying to, for y'all to have done that. And so with the cat already out of the bag, he went ahead today and sent an open letter to all of the people. And I'm just going to kind of read some excerpts from it. He goes on to say that I think he's done a lot of reflecting the last couple of weeks, asked himself the most difficult questions. Am I so proud of what I've achieved, my teammates, coaches, and fellow competitors? First of all, he thanked the city of Tampa, the Bucks fans, the Glazer family, Jason Light, which is the GM of the Tampa Bay Bucks, and head coach Bruce Arians, all the coaches, the coordinators, every Buck staffer, employee, Alex Guerrero, which is his trainer, Don Yee and Steve Dublin, which I think is his representation. Ever since he left the University of Michigan, to his parents, and then finally Giselle and his kids and all that stuff. Noticeably absent from his, congratulatory, from his acknowledgments was the Patriots. Now, I knew there was some bad blood between him and the Patriots and whatnot, how he was unceremoniously removed in 2019 when he wanted to continue to play in and that sort of thing. And I knew there was some things about how he was treated with Tampa Bay and at New England and that sort of thing. And, because Belichick kind of, was kind of the old school kind of coach and that sort of thing. So there was conspicuously left out. And then I think Robert Kraft came back and said something, which prompted him to come back. Oh yeah, to a Patriot Nation, I thank you. Something real bland like that. And I'm like, dude, you was there 20 years, man. Y'all won 6 Super Bowls and 9 trips. I think they deserve a little better than that, man. You retiring, man. You can take the high road on that. Kind of didn't like that, man. It's almost like he played his whole career for Tampa Bay. Played there 2 years. Okay. And if he goes into daggum Hall of Fame as a Buccaneer, I'm going to be livid because he's always, to me, will be known as a Patriot. But anyway, so it's official now. Tom Brady is officially retired from the NFL. And I gave you all of my gush stuff and all of my statistics on Saturday of all the things he's done and all that, and what I think of him and that sort of thing. Just the greatest winner in the history of the NFL. Greatest career of anybody in professional sports. And I'm not going to go into all the statistics again, but it's official now. Tom Brady has officially walked off into the sunset. And well done, Tom. Done your thing. Didn't root for you many times. Kind of was rooting for you a little bit in Tampa when you was in Tampa, a little bit. Never rooted for you in New England. But I respected your game and your professionalism and your hunger and your passion. Let's go. Yeah, I love that. I love passion. So Tom Brady, adios, my man. Until we see you again. I know he's got other business ventures he's going to get into. Tom Brady, the game, will certainly miss you. Then, that ain't what y'all tuned in for. Today we tuned in for big blockbuster story of the day. Brian Flores, the former coach, former defensive coordinator of the New England Patriots, and former head coach of the Miami Dolphins, suing the NFL over racial discrimination and discriminatory practices in their hiring of head coaches, GMs, and coordinators. Okay. And I thought I actually was going to try to do a video on it, but I couldn't get all my data and stuff together when he was fired from Miami, because it was a shock, because I thought they played very well for him. And it's just interesting. And so it comes to find out that he was in the running for a couple of jobs in this new cycle, and so why it came to a head was from a text he got from his former boss, Bill Belichick, whom he worked with from 2004 to 2018. Now he's only 41 years old, so he spent like 14 years with them. So he came to them in his 20s. Okay. So the text kind of reads something. I'm not gonna pull it up, but it basically just says that he basically says, "Congratulations, man. I done heard from the Giants and the Bills, and I think they really want you. They said that you're their guy, man. If that's what you want, man, go for it, man. And I know you'll do well, that sort of thing." And so he said, "Thanks, coach. I really appreciate the congratulations and that sort of thing." But he was puzzled because he was like, "The Giants and the Bills, why would you be talking to the Bills about me?" I don't know. So he says, "Are you sure you got the right Brian? You sure you're talking to the right dude? Because I haven't even interviewed for that job yet." And so Bill Belichick didn't answer that text for about 2 hours. Then he came back about 2 hours later and said, "Hey, Brian, look here, man. I effed that up, man. Look, man, I thought I misread the text. I misread the information. Actually, I think they're going with Brian Daboll for that job, for the Giants job, man. So sorry about that, man. I didn't mean to, leave that in." So he went on to the interview, and of course, the interview was a long, extensive, fully impactful, full interview. And then the thing was, the interview really was a dog and pony show, because he's like, I'm interviewing and doing all this histrionics and stuff for a job that I know they already done promised to somebody else. I'm not even gonna get the job. Okay. So that's why he filed a suit. Now, a lot of people, a lot of my Caucasian buddies probably know, "Oh no, why he would do that?" I'm like, well, look, man, if you're in a demographic that's always had preference in a lot of things, you expect that that's the way it's supposed to be. But if you're from a demographic that's always had to scratch, claw, bite, grab, and whatever to get what if you were in the position that we were in, you would be doing exactly what we're doing, and that sort of thing. So he said, and so he went and he cited that, they went through this whole interview, and he said, "That's a job I know I'm not gonna get. They already done promised it." And not only that, they done communicated that to other people. They already told Belichick they hired him. What it was, Bill Belichick, in his phone directory, pulled up the wrong Bill. I mean, Brian Daboll and Brian Flores. That's the difference. And so in the suit, and then we're going to talk about a few things, and then I'm going to give you my lay of the land. Normally I don't get into the controversial racial things and whatever and stuff, but I mean, that don't mean it ain't there. It just sometimes people kind of tune in to talk about sports. They don't want to talk about all these other things, but sometimes those things overlap, and then sometimes you can't take it out of the thing. And Uncle Fred been around a long time. I've been around, since the 60s. So I done seen some things. So can't tell me like, "Oh, well, this all in your head. It don't exist." Dude, I done seen some stuff. I can sit down and tell you some things I done seen, and in my 50 plus years of being around and things of what that nature, and I've seen things change, but a lot of times when people ain't looking, they'll let you know that they haven't changed as much as you think that they have. Okay, because it's not acceptable to say certain things or feel certain ways and things like that. Yeah. But anyhow, there's a 58-page lawsuit that was filed in Manhattan federal court Tuesday, and it seeks a class action status. In it, Flores alleges that the Dolphins owner, Stephen Ross, and I kind of remembered this. He says that attempted to incentivize him to tank purposely and lose games after he was hired in 2019. And was said allegedly they were giving him $100,000 for every loss that season. He says Flores says that as the team won games late in the season, the Dolphins general manager Chris Greer told him that Ross was mad because he was hurting their draft status. Okay, and there's some truth to that because it was widely thought in the 2019 season, because I think that team lost its first 6, 7, 8 games or something like that. They end up going like 5-11 or 6-10 or something like that. They end up winning some games down the stretch, even beat the Patriots late in the season, and so with Fitzpatrick, and Mike Gesicki and all those guys, they beat the Patriots the last game of the season in Miami. So they won some games down the stretch, but it was widely understood. It was said on Sports Centers they're tanking for Tua, and really when you say a team is tanking, you're really not thinking the guys will willingly not play well. Okay, it's not done like that. It's not. You're not gonna tell a guy, okay, go out and drop passes. Or don't hit the hole when you run in the back of your own offensive lineman. Oh, you know what? Throw interceptions. No, that's not how it's done. You know how you tank. You get rid of veteran players and play a bunch of young players. Because in that season, they had just drafted, I think in the previous administration, they had drafted Minkah Fitzpatrick, superstar safety cornerback from the University of Alabama, Roll Tide, that played. And then they also had drafted Laramie Tunstall from Ole Miss, big stud left tackle. So they traded those guys away. And so what you end up doing is you bring in younger players, younger, inexperienced. If you bring in inexperienced offensive linemen, what's going to happen? You're not going to have success running the football or throwing it, okay? You get rid of experienced defensive players, what you're going to do? You give up a lot of points. That lessens your chances of winning. So you don't really tell players to stop playing, but if you only play the inexperienced players, you're tanking without telling the player because they don't know any better. They're doing the best that they can, but they're inexperienced, So that's what he was doing. It was wild, but due to Flores' coaching acumen, they were able to put together some wins late in the season. Now they was able to still draft Tua with the number 5 position, and so they was able to do that, so anyway, so they got their quarterback, and so it didn't really hurt their draft status at all. I think they drafted number 5, and then it's also alleged against his shoot against the Dolphins that they pressured him into recruiting a prominent quarterback at the end of the 2019 season. And I think he meant a quarterback that's already under contract with somebody else, which means that's tampering. And he's like, I don't want no parts of that. And so he also alleges that the owner, Stephen Ross, told him that he wanted to meet him and discuss some things on his yacht one afternoon. And so he goes, and when he gets there, he says, look, this quarterback is coming to talk to you. Won't you talk to him? And Brian Flores said, no, man, I ain't have nothing to do with it. He left. He said he want no part of it. And so at that point, he alleges that they casted him as like somebody that you can't work with, because the latter part, it came out a long time, like after he got fired from the Dolphins, that he would have these screaming fits where he's going up and down the hallways, in these tirades and doing this stuff like this, which I ain't never heard that before. But, a lot of times when people, get rid of people, they start telling, hey, well, he was doing that. But he wasn't doing that when he was winning 10 games. He was fine. But we fired him. Oh yeah, he was terrible. And I don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't in the building, so I can't tell you what he did or did not do. I just know that I didn't hear anything about that because they went 6-10 that first season. They went 10-6 the second season that he was there. Darn near made the playoffs because they missed it by I think conference record or something like that. Because I think the team that actually got in the playoffs, the Bills, had the same record, but I think they had a better conference record or something like that. And then last year with all this Deshaun Watson, which I think that's who they were talking about here, stuff going on with the offensive line. They got off to a bad start, actually lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars, first team to lose to them, and had some things going. But around like mid-October, they started winning, and they started winning, and they started winning, and then they started winning, and they kept winning, and before you knew it, they won 7-8 games in a row. And instead of being they were 8-7 instead of being 1-7, and then I think they ended up going 9-8 or 10-7. They went one of them. I'm not sure. And of course they missed the playoffs. They just missed the playoffs again. Then they fired him. Okay, so he was saying that that's how they cast him, and then you add in this thing with the Giants, where basically they've already decided we're going to hire Brian Daboll. We're not going to hire him. We're going to hire Brian Daboll. And he also has a suit against the Denver Broncos, citing when he went to interview with the Broncos in 2019 that John Elway and some of the executives came. They were an hour late to their meeting with him, and they came in hungover. Because they had a night the night before, which to him cites that they weren't really serious. I mean, somebody you really trying to hire, you wouldn't come to the meeting like that. That's like a sign of disrespect. So that's what he cited. But no, of course, the Broncos vehemently denied that they was nothing like that. We've always done everything above board and according to whatever. And so he didn't get that job. They ended up hiring Vic Fangio. Now, I want y'all to look at things here. Now, when I talk about these things, and when people, when we talk about these topics, people want to say like, well, why does the race matter? It don't matter. Just how to be. Well, what the point of the matter is, if a guy is good enough to play the game, and 70% of the players that play the game are African American, 70%. Okay, some years it's higher than that. Okay. And then you go down to the coaches. I even one head coach, an African American at this point. Okay, you got 27 jobs hired because they've hired, I think two or three of the coaches. I know Chicago has hired their guy, Matt Eberflus. I think Broncos have hired their guy, Nathaniel Hatchett, and I think that might be it so far. And I know Minnesota still. Oh, and the Giants have hired their guy, Brian Daboll. Okay, those three have hired their guys. You've noticed any of them, anything particular about them? Okay. And so you still got Minnesota. You got Houston. You got Minnesota. You got Houston. You got Miami. You got New Orleans. Okay. So you got those teams that are still left. Okay. Now. There's like 92% of the NFL coaches are white. Okay. 12% of the offensive coordinators are white. 34% of the defensive coordinators are black. I got it backwards. 12% of the offensive coordinators are black, only 12, and only 34% of the defensive coordinators are black. And like only, I think, three GMs. You got Ryan Poles, who they just hired in Chicago. You got Chris Greer, who's in Miami, and you got Anthony. I think it's Anthony Berry or Andrew Berry in Cleveland. Okay. Now there have been, I think Martin Mayhew, I think was one in Detroit, and Ozzie Newsome was one for a long time in Baltimore, and there was a few others, and I think the Giants had one too. What was his daggum name? But they ended up getting rid of him and getting the guy that just left. So let's look at this Let's look at this. So the let's talk the Denver Broncos. Okay. Now the Denver Broncos hired Vic Fangio when they had an opportunity to hire Brian Flores. Okay. Now I wanna look at what about Vic Fangio made you think he would be a better coach than Brian Flores? Because I would like to know that. Why would that be a slam dunk? Because Vic Fangio had been a head coach before. Didn't he coach with the Chicago Bears or whatever? And was not good. They weren't good. I mean, the defenses were good, but they weren't good. I don't know if he was a head coach, but he was. And so Brian Flores, and so in retrospect, when you look back, who was the better coach, Vic Fangio or Brian Flores? Now, Brian Flores, even though Vic Fangio was older, Brian Flores had been on a winning organization and won about what 3 Super Bowls in his tenure with the Patriots. And last being a defensive coordinator. In a winning organization. Now I know most Belichick guys don't play that well. Don't coach that well out from underneath the umbrella, but when you go back and look at it, look at the record of Vic Fangio, because I think they were like 5-11, 6-7-9, and I think they were like 9-8 or 8-9 this year, and matched it up against Brian Flores. Who should they have hired? Okay, but if you go by, well, I like how Vic Fangio look. I like, and I'm not saying this is what guys do, but people tend to hire what they're comfortable with. And I wish people wouldn't use that medium to hire for something like that, because you wouldn't use that medium to hire the guys that play for you, because sports is the ultimate meritocracy. If you can play and help us win, you play. Ultimately, you want somebody with good character and that kind of thing. But if you can play, you play. I don't care what you look like. I don't care what race you are. I don't care what religion you are. If you can play and help us win, that's the thing. I don't care about if I'm having you over for dinner or not. It don't matter. But when you're hiring these higher up positions, the GMs, the head coaches, and all that, why does that matter? I once hired somebody I can go golfing with. I thought you were trying to win games. Okay. And so that's the thing there. And I'm gonna cite another thing, and another gentleman I want to bring up your attention to, and he was mentioned in the lawsuit, and that's Jim Caldwell. Now, many don't know Jim Caldwell. Jim Caldwell, 66 years old. Let me tell you what Jim Caldwell has done. Jim Caldwell been coaching ever since 1977. Okay. Coached 1977. He was a graduate assistant at Iowa. Went to Southern Illinois as a wide receivers coach. Then from there, he went to he was there from 78 to 80. Then from there, he went to Northwestern as an offensive assistant. To Colorado as a wide receivers coach, all the way to 84. Then he went to Louisville as a wide receivers coach, and Penn State as a wide receivers coach. He was with Penn State from 86. That means he won a national championship, because they won a national championship in 1986. Okay. 1986 through 1992. And he was the quarterback's passing game coordinator. So he's got, as we see, he's building up quite an offensive repertoire. We're talking about almost 20 years here. Okay. And so he leaves there and he gets the head coach job of Wake Forest. Probably one of the worst jobs you can get, because Wake Forest is not a football power and they got academic restrictions. So it's going to be hard to win there. But those are kind of jobs but you hungry to get a job and you want to coach, that's the job you take. So he got a job there. I don't know his record, but I know he was there from 93 to 96. Okay. 97. He was there until 2000. And then he joined Tampa Bay's quarterbacks as the quarterback coach under Tony Dungy. And it was there, of course, Tony Dungy got fired that year. And so he followed him to Indianapolis. And he was the assistant head coach from 2002 to and quarterbacks, assistant coach, head assistant coach all the way to 2008. From 2002 to 2008. So that's 7 years. Okay, under Tony Dungy, working in that system, working with Peyton Manning. Okay. And then when Tony Dungy retires, he handpicks him to be his successor. And what does he do? He takes that team 14-2, and they go to the Super Bowl. And they lose it. Peyton throws a pick six. They lose to New Orleans 31-17, whatever. We did go to the Super Bowl. Next year, they go 10-6, and Peyton gets hurt late in the season. And then the next year, Peyton's out because he's the whole season he's had that career threatening neck injury, and he missed the whole season. And they really didn't have a succession plan after Peyton because Peyton was everything. Peyton did everything. Okay, and they go 2-14, and he was ceremoniously fired. But then he goes to Baltimore as the interim offensive coordinator, and he wins the Super Bowl. Oddly enough, he plays Peyton Manning in the division game against the Broncos, who he just got there, and they beat them in that game, and they go on to win the Super Bowl against the San Francisco 49ers. So he's got a couple of Super Bowls under his belt as an assistant. One with Tampa Bay in 2006, and then one with the Baltimore Ravens in 2012. So he was there 2012, 2013, and he gets the job with the Detroit Lions. Gets the job with the Detroit Lions, and he goes first year there in 2014. They go 11-5, go to the playoffs, second in the division, lose to the Cowboys. But there was a bad call. I'm a Cowboy fan, but there was a bad call on Anthony Hitchens I can't think what the tight end's name was in the playoff game, and they didn't call it, third down, and the Cowboys came back and won that game. Okay. And they lost, and then the next year they went 7-9. But the last two seasons, he was 9-7 and 9-7. But they didn't win any playoff games because I think in 15 they lost to 7-9. I think they went to the playoff, but they lost to Carolina in 15, and then 16 they went 9-7, but they lost to the Seattle Seahawks, who went to the Super Bowl. And so they, well, no, 16 that was Atlanta Falcons. So, but anyway, yeah, they lost to them, and then in 2017 they went 9-7, and they go to the playoffs. I think they lose to I think they might have lost to the Seahawks that year too. I'm not sure, but they did. They made the playoffs. They were 9-7, and they fired him after winning season 3 of the 4 years. He was 36-28 in 4 years. Okay. And so, I mean, that's an average of 9-7. That means you're winning. Tell me when the last time the Detroit Lions smelled 9 wins. And I'll wait. Because they thought, we're going to hire Matt Patricia. Because he's been Bill Belichick. Just like Flores. But they hired him. And I think he went 5-11, 5-10-1, and I think maybe 6-10 or something like that. Never sniffed 9 wins. Okay. And then eventually he gets fired last year. Okay. So what I'm saying is that sometimes these guys, because they want to hire somebody that looks like them or thinks like them or goes to the same country club as them, goes to the same church as them, goes to those sorts of things, when them things really don't matter. You really can't run a business like that. Okay. No other business can you run like that. You just hire people that, I just hired it because I like him. No, you want to hire people, and realistically, and somebody made a good point today. I think it was one of the guys on ESPN. He made a point. He says, now, if 70% of your workforce is African American, wouldn't you want somebody that could relate to them to be the coach over them with them? I'm just saying, I'm just saying. Okay. And any business that I owned, you kind of want to hire diverse people. You don't want all of this because that means you only get one kind of thinking. That's the thing people don't get. And I had some, diversity training and all of my, a couple of my jobs and things, and I, taking even some classes in there when I was in college. That's the thing people don't get. You can't just hire people that have your point of view because that's the only point of view you'll have. And sometimes there's a whole other world out there outside of your blinders that exist. A whole different way of doing things, whole ways of doing things that's opened up to you that you don't even understand how to do because you like this. Okay. And I'm not saying you go hire an ex-con or anything like that. I'm not saying anything like that. I mean, some ex-con just got caught up. I'm not saying that. But surely if they meet all of the requirements, to do the physically and mentally and to do the job. But then you want to, I might want to hire someone with this background, some with this background, some with that background, some with that background. So that when we have decisions to make, what if some of your customers are African American? You wouldn't want some African Americans. What if some of your customers are Asian? You wouldn't want maybe a portion of your workforce to be Asian, to maybe identify with them. And maybe there's some things when they come in, the question they may have, you being from a background that don't know nothing about that, they will be, hey, no, I know what he's saying. He's saying this right here. I'm just saying it helps everybody when your work pool and your workforce pool is diverse. You get different points of view. There's different ways of doing things, different ways of, it's just different ways of things being done, So that's why that's like that. And then too, and I'm just gonna say this, and I don't care if I get hate mail or not. It's just always seems that black men get the short stick because when they start campaigning for women to get in the coaching ranks, I ain't hear nobody objecting, but they in there. Now, I sort of got issues with women, coaching men, but from the standpoint that, there's locker room issues. There's it's just certain things that don't know if I want, I just got issues. I just think those are just problems you don't need to be having. But in the front office, in the general manager's office, and those types of things, yeah, decision making, yeah, you take anybody, as long as they got the intelligence and the ability to do the job. That's the thing. I would have no problem if they hired a woman to be a GM of a team. What are you doing? You're looking at drafts. And you scouting players. You're gonna have people to help you. I ain't got a problem with that. Got a problem with owning the team. I don't have a problem with that. Now, ultimately, this is what it's gonna come down to, because I've always said this too, from the other side of the ledger. If I'd have spent $4 billion or $3 billion to buy a team, I'm a hire who that I want. Okay. But I got enough sense to know if I hire all of one demographic, that's the only point of view I'm gonna have. I want because I want to, for my business, I want to reach everybody. Okay. I want to reach every segment of society with the business that I own if I'm running a business. Okay. I don't want to just appeal to a white male from 36 to 60. That's one segment of the population. What about everybody else? Just hope that they be all right with that? No, I mean, so yeah, but see, that's the slippery slope. We really don't want to tell people who to hire. So that's why they instituted the Rooney Rule. Yeah, we can't really tell it, but they thought like maybe if you interviewed some minorities, maybe you see he kind of presented well. He's very articulate. He understands he put together a very detailed presentation. I like him. Okay. Because I guarantee you, if And really, the Giants thing was a done deal. You know why it was a done deal? Because the Giants hired the player development guy from the Buffalo Bills to be their new GM because they got rid of Gettleman. They got rid of Dave Gettleman, so they hired a GM. Brought the GM in from Buffalo, so you know he's gonna look out for his own offensive coordinator. So that was already a done deal. So basically, the interview with Flores is just there. Okay, it's a formality because we got to meet the Rooney Rule thing. But my thing is, why wouldn't you take a look at Brian Flores? No, even though I like Brian Daboll because I think he's done a good job with Josh Allen. The whole time he's been in Buffalo, did a good job at Alabama with Tua and Jalen Hurts. Did a great job there. So I don't have any problem. I believe he worked for New England also once upon a time. So I don't have a problem with Brian Daboll. I think Brian Daboll is a dang good coach. Okay, and I think he's going to do well. And if Danny Dimes got any chance to do well, he in good hands with Brian Daboll. I'm good with that. But how do you know he's a better candidate than Brian Flores? Because Brian Flores is actually, contrary to Brian Daboll, Brian Flores has actually been a head coach before. Okay, because you know everybody that's a coordinator don't always make good head coaches. Okay, this guy was a head coach, and pretty much I think he was 24 and 25 or 25, 24, one of the two in his 3 years at Miami. And back to Caldwell. You know Caldwell has a 62-50 record. Can't get a job. Okay. Keeps passing on it. Vic Fangio got a job. Okay. And he's and Caldwell's got a record of 62. You take that 2-14 season out, and that's like a mulligan because you didn't pay Manning. You had what is that kid's name? They had that really didn't play well because Peyton Manning didn't miss games, and really the offense was in his head. Peyton Manning is not like one of these other guys. And I love Peyton Manning, but he wasn't one of those guys that dispensed the stuff around him. There's certain people that want themselves to be the most important person, so they don't share the information with other people, so you'll know how important they are when they're gone. Peyton's one of them kind of guys. Okay, so. And one of my friends is like, man, Peyton Manning be holding the Colts hostage. And when he got hurt, that's basically what they was. The offense didn't know what they was doing, because Peyton Manning did everything, So it was 2-14. You take that 2-14 off, he's 60 and like 36. Okay. As a head coach. It's not bad. That's pretty daggum good to be going round and round, can't find a job. And he's been on 2 championship teams as coordinators, okay, and assistant head coach, and it's taken to a Super Bowl, okay, and can't get a job. They hire him just to make the requirements. Yeah, we gotta interview a minority, but I'm thinking if you just sit down and listen to him and look at his record, what he's done, why would you not hire that dude? Okay, and that's all folks is saying. If you put guys in front of you actually with an open mind, it's like, dude, I think that guy can actually coach. I'm going to give him a shot and give him a shot. But you already got your mind made. No, we're going to hire Brian Daboll anyway. I don't care what Brian Flores. He can come in and set the world on fire. Nope, we're hiring Brian Daboll without even seeing what Flores got to offer. And that's the problem. There lies the problem right there. Okay. You already decided, but without looking at what's, that's like deciding I want this package here without looking at what's inside of it. No, I like the wrapper that's in. I'm gonna take that one. You don't know what's in it. So that's what's going on with that. And so I hope this is the thing. What's really got to happen is that until you get diversity in the ownership area, these things will continue to happen because they're going to fight this thing. And just like the thing with Tom Brady, Tom Brady got in 2016, I think, for the Deflategate thing. He won the first round of the court cases and he won it. But them NFL guys got deep pockets and got lawyers for days, and they just appeal to the next court. Okay. And Tom Brady's like, I gotta go play. I can't sit around and be in court. I gotta go play. And see, they know that. And you're not going to have as deeper pockets as them. So you might win the preliminary, but ultimately their money is longer, and they're going to appeal it until they get a judge to agree with them. And you probably not going to have the money to keep going to court. And that's what they bank on. Okay, that's what they did to Tom Brady. Eventually, he had to say, "Okay, I'll take the 4 games because I got to go back to work. I can't miss a season fooling around with y'all going back and forth to court." Okay, so that's what's going to happen. And I hope Brian Flores understand this. Is that understand he's making a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice that has to be made. But he's a young dude. He's 41. He could probably coach 25, 30 more years. Are you ready for the sacrifice? Because chances are, when you bite off the nose, the spite your face, you don't get hired again. It's sort of like Curt Flood. Many of y'all don't know nothing about Curt Flood in baseball. Really, the baseball free agency was kind of brought into play by Curt Flood back in the 70s. Go back and look that up. And Colin Kaepernick, folks just laughed at him. I thought he wasn't genuine, but you start seeing the things happening, it's like, oh, okay, he was on to something. And when once you go against the NFL, yeah, they kind of you think black coaches are blackballed now. You go against the NFL, you never gonna see an interview. You never gonna see anything. Okay, and they knew there was guys in the NFL that weren't as good as Kaepernick. They even brought Jay Cutler back out of retirement for the Dolphins instead of getting him because no, we're not hiring. So I hope Brian Flores is understanding this. And see, and then like I said, once you get diversity in the owners, because all 32 of the owners or 31 of the owners are white males. Well, 31 of them, 30 of them, because I think Virginia McCaskey owns the Bears, and Shad Khan owns the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay. And the Denver Broncos are up for sale. There's a dude named, I think his name is Robert Smith. I have to check, make sure I got his name right. The African-American billionaire looking to get into this. That might be a thing for him. And maybe, and really, I'm going to say this. Some folks might not want to hear this, but I'm sorry. I'm going to say it. If y'all won't change, some folks will have to make some sacrifices in order to make things happen, in order to put the people you want in the positions you want them to be in. Okay, what does that mean? That means some of these high dollar earners in the NFL and some of the movers and shakers in the entertainment industry need to put their monies together and buy themselves a team. Okay, instead of buying 50,000 cars, 50,000 necklaces. I'm sorry, I gotta say what gotta be said. If you want to change, then these are the things you got to do, because ultimately, if you own a team or two, or with a group, then you can kind of control the narrative to a certain degree. Okay, you see, you won't have to be going begging folks to hire folks. You could do, but you got to do what you're supposed to do with your money. And I gotta say that. I'm sorry, fam. I gotta say that. You got to do what you're supposed to do with your money if you want to do big things. Now, if your only thing is to, drive nice cars, buy nice houses, and live it up, go to vacations and stuff like that, and wear jewelry and all that, if that's all you want to do, fine. Okay. But then don't come back and complain about, well, dang, how come all the owners is it? Dude, you do realize you made $100 million. Okay. You take $200 or $300 million guys, put their money together, maybe get you an entertainment mogul, put y'all money together. Y'all can buy a team. I think the Broncos is for sale for like $4 billion, but you don't got to have all $4 billion, and then you got to be approved by the other owners and whatnot. And then, of course, they'll be happy to do this to get this stuff off of them. So you got to start doing things physically. You got to start thinking long runs, play the long game instead of the short game. Life ain't about, being consumers. Sometimes you got to be investors. Okay. Sometimes you got to be investors. You got to have an investor's mentality instead of a consumer's mentality. Quit thinking about the nice things you can buy for yourself. Thinking about what you can buy to empower other folks. Okay. But that's all I got from the desk of Uncle Fred. look, man, this thing, I don't know, like I said, I think Brian Flores got to understand he may have sacrificed his whole career for this, but if he gets something working where there's more openness with the hiring practices, then it would be worth it. And he would probably tell you it would be worth it. But understand this: none of the progresses and none of the things that we enjoy today didn't come without sacrifice. Somebody had to give up something. Somebody had to give up their jobs and whatever. I think Martin Luther King had decided once he started the Montgomery bus boycott, I'm probably not gonna have another regular job ever because he ain't hiring me, So he became a crusader from that point on. So sometimes you got to make that sacrifice. You got to be ready for what all that comes with that. So, man, hey man, Brian, I'm hoping I'm right with you, man. Do what you got to do, but understanding what it entails. The NFL ain't gonna go down easy. They're gonna have to be knocked down. Okay, but that's all I got from the desk, Uncle Fred. And I know this may be a controversial topic to some might not want. Just get back to the sports, but dude, sometimes the sports and the other things interlap, and sometimes you got to talk about the things that seem like nobody really wants to talk about, and these is one of those things: race, race relations, religion, politics. Usually at jobs I'm at, you don't talk about those kind of things. You leave that stuff alone. Okay. Yeah, because you end up sometimes even sports. Because you always some of the biggest heated arguments come over politics, sports, religion, and race relations. What it is, man. But please like, comment, and subscribe. Become a part of the Uncle Fred Sports Experience. Promise you, you will not be disappointed. That's all I got for y'all. I'll see you guys on the next video. Y'all take care.